Okay, very good. What about if the given is a literal coefficient? How will you know that the literal coefficient is a perfect square? Say for example, I have x squared. Is this a perfect square? If I show the factored form of this literal coefficient, it should be x times x. What about if I have x to the fourth? I can show the factored form as x squared times x squared. What about if I have x to the 9? No, to the 8 I mean. I can have x to the 4th times x to the 4th. What do you notice? Here the exponent is 1. x1, x to the first power, multiplied to x to the first power. I have x squared. What about here? X to the square, or times x squared, will give you 2x to the 4th. X to the 4th times x to the 4th will give you x to the 8th. What is done with the exponents here in the factors to get 8 here? We added. So that means if we are multiplying variables which are the same, the exponent should be added. But in this case, the factors are exactly the same. What about if I have this one? X to the 9. So what number, what factor, or how are we going to show this in factored form? What should be the exponent? 5 and 4. So I could not say that x to the 9 is a perfect square because the exponents are not the same. We can only say that the literal coefficient is a perfect square when we factored it. The exponent should be exactly the same of the two factors. So, to sum up, a literal coefficient is in squared form or a perfect square when there's exponents, when the exponent is an even number. What is an even number? What is an even number? Can you still remember? They are numbers that ends in 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. If I have a raised to 10, is this a perfect square? Yes, it is. If I have m raised to 20, is it a perfect square? Yes. Do you now understand how to determine a literal coefficient as a perfect square? Okay, very good. So since you know already, we can have examples now on factoring difference of two squares. When you say difference of two squares, the given should be two perfect squares, and the operation between the two terms should be subtraction because of the word difference. We need to follow the given formula. A squared minus b squared. The first factor is a plus b. The second factor is a minus b. So do not forget this. This is the formula to follow as a guide in factoring difference of two square, wherein the first term a represents the first term and b is the second term of the given binomial or polynomial. Let us have example number 1. If I I have m squared minus 25. Following the formula, so m squared is for a squared, 25 is for b squared. To factor, we have to follow this formula. So that, what is now the first term, m squared, give me that number, multiply to itself, will give you m squared. Or should I say square root of m squared? So it is m. You write m here, it is a, so the other factor should have also a. Then, what number multiplied to itself will give you 25? Or should I say, square root of 25 is 5. So I write 5 here, and also 5 here. Then follow the operations, plus for the first factor, minus for the second factor. Why is it that the two signs are not the same? Because if we will multiply plus and minus, will give you a minus. Or positive times negative will give you a negative. Do you understand? Okay, let's have example number 2. If example number 2 is 4a squared b 6 minus 36 a to the 4th b squared. Okay, this expression represents a squared minus b squared. Now let us have the factors representing this symbol, the formula above here. For a, we have here. Let us first have the number 4. But before we do that, determine first if the given terms are perfect square. Look at the numerical coefficients 4 and 36. Are they perfect squares? Yes, because 4. Okay, what number should be multiplied to itself will give you 4? It is 4, it is 2, and 2. 2 times 2 will give you 4. Okay? By the way, I should erase this one. Sorry. There should be no minus sign there. What about a squared? What is that variable multiplied to itself will give you a squared? It is a. So you write a here, write a here. What about b squared? What variable, what literal coefficient multiplied to itself corresponds to b to the 6th? It is b cubed. B cubed. Okay? Let's go to the next term. 36. What number multiplied to itself or a square root of 36 will give you, what is the square root of 36? Or what number should be multiplied to itself will give you 36? It is 6. It is 6. Wait, I will rewrite because there's no enough space here. There is no enough space. So I write here 2ab cubed. So let's go back to 36. So it should be 6. It should be 6. What about a to the 4th? So what literal coefficient multiplied to itself will give you to a to the 4th? It is a squared. So you write a squared. What about here? What literal coefficient or variable multiplied to itself will give you b squared? So it should be b and b. But do not forget the signs of operation. Here plus and here is minus. Do you get? Any questions?